هذا الحيوان النادر والذي حموه أجدادنا من قبلنا، ونحن اليوم نقوم بحماية هذا الحيوان.
حي على الفلاح، الله أكبر الله.
الحياة في الصحراء صراحة ممتعة جدا، بكوننا كنا نعيش من قبل أن نعمل في هذا العمل، كنا نعيش في الصحراء ونرتاح صراحة نفسيا وعمليا لهذه الصحراء، ونحن متأقلمين.
محمد الحفيد. نعم. مسرح بالنشر. بسم الله سرحنا. فقط. خلص الوقت. بالنشر.
By sunrise, the rangers are up and already searching for the herd that will have moved away during the night. Oryx have been known to travel up to 90 kilometers in only 18 hours, making it difficult for the rangers to keep up with them. An enclosure has recently been erected within the reserve in order to keep around 80 oryx under secure conditions. The Omani decision to enclose this core group will hopefully safeguard the oryx well into the future, narrowly surviving a potentially catastrophic example of just how fragile the oryx survival balance really is. In the meantime, government officials have been conducting numerous talks with neighboring Gulf states, hoping to stem the demand for live oryx that comes from potentially embarrassing high sources. Why this poaching escalated to the point it has not only implicates the poachers, but also the people who created the demand for captured oryx. In Saudi Arabia, the merits of enclosures are still at the forefront of the kingdom's strategies, as said by the National Commission for Wildlife Conservation and Development. Today, the NCWCD's release programs are centered in two locations. The first release area was here at Mahazat As-Said, covering over 2,200 square kilometers in what is one of the largest fenced conservation areas in the world, home to over 550 free-roaming oryx, of which 120 are wild-born.
By creation or declaring the protected area like Mahazat, it's considered as an experiment place where all the animals are here. The whole reserve is fenced, and there is possibility to do many experiments. I mean, there is no poaching action. There is all the reserve is fenced, and there is no predators, no disease, and we can do several studies to help us know about the Arabian oryx and how they manage to survive in the desert in Saudi Arabia. Recently, we are focusing, we are to do a study about the reproduction study of the oryx female at Mahazat. The target of this study to know through the analysis of the feces of the oryx, we can assume or predict if the female is pregnant or not and the sex of her calf. Because there is a secretion of specific hormone with the feces, and by analyzing that with the information which I collected, we can find out some information which is interesting to the wild animals at Mahazat.
The NCWCD labs have a long history of medical research.
We have a story to tell for the oryx. It's an interesting story because we have some contribution to show to the rest of the world. When we started to have our breeding program, we had to rely on private collection. In particular, His Majesty late King Khalid used to have the biggest collection of oryx. We have to remove some of the collection from Riyadh to our new research center in Taif, we discovered that most of the herd is infected by tuberculosis. A story, a very sad story, because you don't treat tuberculosis in animals. You euthanize them because it's a bad disease and it just doesn't deserve treating it.
When 50% of the herd died within 3 days, the NCWCD were faced with a hard decision: to euthanize the remaining animals, throwing away years of collective breeding efforts, or to try previously unattempted medical treatment.
The oryx is very precious. It's an endangered species. So we decided to go for that. Now the animal doesn't drink by nature. It's a desert animal. So you cannot ask it to drink the medicine. So we have to invent one way of making the animals drink. We made the animal under the stress to go for water, where we dissolve the medicine in.
This was successfully achieved through use of quarantined enclosures and hand-rearing calves. The great genetic value of the Saudi herd was saved.
In order to start the breeding program for the Arabian oryx, we should have all kind of lines, genetical lines of the Arabian oryx. We get it from all over the world. We get it from United States, we get it from Britain, we get it from Germany, we get it from Qatar, we get also from Bahrain, from Jordan, from everywhere, from Saudi Arabia, special collection. So we have been able to bring all lines for the breeding of the Arabian oryx. And that's why the Saudi Arabian collection is supposed to be, or thought to be, the best collection because it has all the lines. We were able to then reintroduce this very sound, genetically and healthy collection of Arabian oryx to Rub' al Khali.
The Rub' al Khali, the empty quarter. An expanse of desert the size of France, and the second location of Saudi Arabia's reintroduction program. A 12,000 square kilometer reserve on the western edge of the biggest sand desert in the world. Oryx from Taif are released into this fenceless expanse. Consequently, once released, finding them in this massive open space is not an easy proposition. To monitor their movements and keep track of numbers, scientists and rangers are resorting to radio collaring, and the oryx are tracked weekly from the air.
We use the technology for remote sensing, we use radio communication, and we importantly use airplanes. We have 150 rangers, no more than that. And we are responsible for something like 2,000 square kilometers. That's a vast area to be looked at by only 150 rangers.
Sometimes the researchers have to venture deep into the desert by four-wheel drive and accompanied by rangers, all locally employed from Bedouin tribes, who know the lay of the land.
اوكي يا ابو علي ممكن شيء هنا كده ممكن نشوف كده.
These oryx are undergoing the toughest of reintroduction programs, as they are literally left to their own natural survival instincts in one of the most inhospitable places on the planet. The original herd of 83 has grown to over 200, and this is now the only successful example of oryx living outside of fenced areas. Despite the sensitive regional security issues surrounding the oryx, conservationists are feeling cautious.